乐乎。今天的客人是谁呢？曾经喜爱台湾职业篮球的人对 Rex 雷克斯一定不陌生。202公分的身高，217磅的体重，活生生是现代版的巨人。祖籍在东加王国的雷克斯，在5岁那年，随同父母一同移民至美国旧金山。Rex 小时候和大部分的美国孩子一样，8岁就跟着母亲到教会，但却无法体会到上帝与他的人生关系。直到 Rex 大学毕业后，职业篮球梦想因落选而破碎，同时遭逢失恋的打击，人生陷入谷底。此时因着母亲天天为他祷告，深深感受到母亲对他的爱，而愿意再次回到教会。也因看见原本与自己感情不和的哥哥信主后改掉火爆的脾气，且生命180度大翻转，甚至愿意放弃高薪去读神学院，还把他自己心爱的车子送给 Rex。于是 Rex 很自然地接受了这个信仰，直到今天没有改变。在接受信仰后，上帝为 Rex 展开了不可思议的道路，带领他到台湾打职业篮球。原本 Rex 预计留在台湾2到3个月，却万万没有想到一待就是25年的岁月。Rex 是台湾职业篮球史上第一个将美国强力篮球的打法带进台湾的名将，但他每次出场比赛前总会低着头向上帝祷告，他认为这是他力量的来源，相信上帝会带领他的表现。职篮时期，很多同事、球迷和媒体朋友都觉得雷克斯像传教士多过像职业篮球明星，因为他只要一抓住机会，就会向大家传福音。上帝不仅在台湾这片土地上让 Rex 完成了职业篮球的梦想，更让他遇见了美丽的妻子佩伦。Rex 牧师与妻子李佩伦姐妹在台湾认识，结成连理，育有2女及1子，建立了美好的家庭。师母佩伦在台湾原为公立学校英文老师，拥有人人称羡的稳定的公务员工作，却在几经一番挣扎后，甘心乐意放下一切，与先生 Rex 一同顺服神的呼召与带领，致使先生成为全职的牧师，并于2016年全家回到美国。2017年正式加入生命和灵粮堂的大家庭，成为教会牧养青少年的专职牧师。
观众朋友，新年恭喜！欢迎收看《谁来做客》。今天很开心为您邀请到 Pastor Rex 跟佩伦师母来到我们节目当中做客，欢迎牧师跟师母。
嗨，你好，大家好，新年快乐！
节目一开始，我很好奇，想问牧师，当年为什么会想到台湾打球呢？
Oh, that is a very long question. Well, it all started when I was in high school and college. I wanted to play professional basketball. And so when I was in high school, I played well, but not good enough to play Division I basketball. So I went to a community college to play for 2 years and hopefully advance to a Division I school. I got better, I got stronger, more training, and then I had 5 scholarship offers from the community college. Yeah. And I chose Pepperdine University, and so I went there, and I really had a great time. I'm still training and thinking about trying to play professional basketball. But at that time, I think something happened to me. I think I got a bit prideful. I kind of stopped training because when you get to a certain level, like Division I basketball, that's the highest level of basketball in college. I kind of just stopped training. I think it's just because of pride. So at the end of my college career, it wasn't really a great career, but I still wanted to advance to play professional basketball. And so, but I was not chosen to play in the NBA.
那时候会不会很难过？
Yes, it was a very sad time in my life. And so at that point also, I had a girlfriend for over 2 years.
是这位吗？
No, not my wife right now. And so when you're young and you're playing basketball and you have a good, you have a relationship with your girlfriend, and so you have certain abilities, certain talents, And when you realize, well, you're not chosen to play in the NBA. And fortunately, at that time, my girlfriend broke off our relationship.
Wow.
And so, yeah, when you said sad, yeah, it was those
双重
two.
打击
Yes. So those two things that are important to me, and I think important to just many young people, because they have dreams. My dream to play professional basketball. You have a relationship with a girlfriend. And those things that did not realize in my life, I became very sad at that point. And but at that time, my brother was a Christian. And
所以那个
so
时候你还不是基督徒
no, yeah, I was not. I actually, my family and I went to church sometimes, tradition. But again, that's another story. The church did not really teach me about Jesus as the Savior. And so, anyways, my brother was sharing with me that, God is real. If you can go to Him, He will respond to you. And so actually probably up to that point, the saddest point in my life where my dream was not being fulfilled, broken relationship, when I gave my life up to God, at that point, that's when my life actually started.
对
And then my eyes were opened and I knew God, and then everything was so different. The saddest point actually became the happiest moments in my life.
真好，就像人家说，人的尽头是神的开始。
Yes. And from that point on, then all of a sudden these doors started opening for me to have an opportunity to play basketball overseas. And one of those opportunities was to play in the Williams-Jones Cup in Taiwan.
琼斯杯
琼斯杯
And so I went with the team here from the States. And I went, played for 2 weeks. Then I came back. And then through that experience, one of the teams, 宏国篮球队, called me and they said, hey, do you want to come and play basketball for us? Okay, but they only asked me to come for 2 to 3 months.
哦，是这样子吗？
Yeah.
对，后来呢？
Yeah, so then I thought, oh, well, I have a job. It wasn't a good job, but it's a job. And so I thought, well, it's only 2 to 3 months. Should I go? Inside of me, I wanted to go. And so I asked my brother, I said, hey, what do you think? And he said, this is your dream. Your job is really not that good anyways. Just go and see what God has to offer. And so I went to Taiwan for those 2 to 3 months. We won a championship, and those 2 to 3 months became 25 years.
哇，是一个很棒的转捩点哦。
Yes.
所以在台湾的这几年打球的过程，你觉得你最大的收获是什么？
A lot.
可以分享一些吗？
So much. I do feel when I became a Christian, really God sent me to Taiwan. He prepared the way. Because I look back at it, and it's easier to look back and what happened. Like
对
it was God set me apart to go to Taiwan, but He does that for all believers. So we are all set apart.
对
And so I went to Taiwan, and during the times of basketball, God allowed me to fulfill my dream. We all have dreams.
是是。
Yeah, and so that was my first. Yeah.
是你从小的一个梦想，对不对？
Yes, that was my first biggest dream, is to play professional basketball. And God is the one that really helped me to make that happen. Number 2 is I met my wife during that time, my beautiful wife.
对
And we had kids, and God showed me another part of Him, and that is the most important relationships that you have is your family. It's like, wow, God is a God of dreams, and He is a God of family. So like, wow, those are like, I'm receiving so much during my times of playing basketball. And the third thing is I came to experience Taiwan's culture. Yeah, it's
很特别。
yes, and so I just had an amazing time there. It was quite beautiful, and just everything about Taiwan I loved. It was going there. It was really for myself. It was for me. It was exciting when I first got there, and to a certain level, I'm a very flexible person.
对。
And so when you go overseas, you have to be flexible, and so I just enjoyed every aspect of Taiwan.
真好，在打球的这几年，你有没有曾经有很特别的经历神的信实在里面？
Yes, a lot.
跟我们分享一个，至少一个。对。
Okay. All right. Actually, I'll share the one where at the end of my career in Taiwan, and maybe my wife can help me fill in the details. And it was the league had changed towards 1999, and there was one season for there's one season, and during that season, God put it in my heart. This is at the end of my career, because I played on Sundays before that. So towards the end of my career, God put it in my heart to not play on Sundays, and I thought, okay, why do I need to do it?
礼拜天不打球好像有点困难，会不会？
Yes, because when you play professional sports, Sunday is a part of your job.
周末是最重要的。
Yeah. And so, as you know, as a believer, that voice is in you, and so it was in my heart, and I go, Pelon, I feel as if God is telling me not to play on Sundays. And so that is quite stressful because it's your job. And so if you don't play on Sundays, you have to move on to another career. And so, so I tell my wife, we pray, and we agree that I have to tell my boss. But the beautiful part about that is it allowed me actually talk to the president of my company. I had a meeting with him, and I told him, I shared the gospel with him about Jesus, about creation, about sin. I was like, wow, okay, that's why you want me to not play on Sundays, because you want me to actually speak to the boss.
不过我有一个小小的疑问，我想师母会不会很担心啊？因为如果不能打球，家庭的那个收入经济会是一个问题哦。师母，你那时候的想法是什么？
神给他感动好几个月。那1999年那一年，职篮其实已经封馆了。那他们还是想要2000年东山再起，再来一个千禧年纪念赛。那老板真的很喜欢他，就留下他来，就每个月给他薪水，那薪水还不错。那他居然有这样子的感动，说他礼拜天不出赛。那对我来说，这怎么可能？因为你是付钱去打球的。那我觉得他听错了，所以我一直想跟他说没有这回事，没有这回事。所以我就自己觉得压力很大。可是他那个感动很久，好几个月，他不断的跟我提。所以后来如果是神的心意，你就一定要顺服嘛。所以我自己是压力非常大。那他后来就跟老板沟通，沟通了2次，后来老板决定。这是不可能的事情，然后就请他走路这样子。
哦，真的吗？
对。
你跟老板分享你的信仰看见之后，老板还是请你走路哦。
Yes, he really liked me, and I really liked him, and it was a very family organization, and he was very polite, but there is business.
对。那这时候怎么办？
And so at that time, I said, okay, I'm going to have to leave then. But what's interesting was during that few weeks, the schedule came out of the season, and so what happened was almost all of the games were not on Sunday. Yeah.
没有 game 在礼拜天。
Right.
这太特别了。
I think only one game at the end was on Sunday, and so for my manager, and they looked at it. And they were really amazed at how the schedule was. And so then our boss told my coach to let me come back to the
这
team.
太奇妙了。
我想补充一下好了，
是
他可能忘记了一些细节，就是
对，
他那一段时间他有这样的信心，神会让他复赛，为他出赛。
对，
因为他老板已经叫他走人了，然后他跟我说，他觉得他会比赛，所以他就天天跑去跑步。我记得有一次他跟我说，哎，球队的球员看到他说你在干什么？他说我在健身，因为我要出赛。
所以他还是在继续准备自己，准备要出赛，没有觉得说我就没有要打球了。
所以那时候我觉得我一方面我觉得身体感觉那种压力很疲惫，可是我心里又觉得一个很奇妙的事情即将发生。因为我觉得我从来没有看过我先生在宣告说，我认为神会让我出赛。结果当那一天赛程表出来，然后助理教练把他叫过去的时候，我就听到那个教练的太太转述说，当他们把这个 schedule 给他看，发现都没有礼拜天的比赛，除了1场以外。
太奇妙了，这真的太奇妙了。
他就非常的激动，然后眼角就泛着泪光，然后说 yes。我觉得那次是个非常非常奇妙的见证。
对，真的，当你顺服的时候，神就大大的带领跟神行这样子奇妙伟大的事在里面，所以这也是一个很棒的见证哎。
Yeah. I think another also part of when I was playing is that I worked with the local churches.
对。
And what we did was, well, they prepared like basketball games, and then they would have a full gospel like meeting, and they'd invite all the kids, and then I'd come and share, and that was another way for me to really like get into young people's ministry. Because all the kids came to watch, and so the churches would use sports. Yeah, they would use sports to attract the kids to come to church, and I would work with them in that.
所以后来你也转变成教书教职，对不对？怎么会有这样子的转变？
Okay, so now we're transitioning into to being a teacher.
对。
And again, transitioning into that was very difficult.
是吗？为什么？
Yeah, because you're in Taiwan, and so and also the only available job really for me at that time. Well, you could either go into basketball and help out the basketball team as some sort of 当教练 or whatever, but that didn't work out. The other one was becoming an English teacher, and I really didn't want to do that because that's just not me. It's not my. It's
not your passion.
It's not my passion. And so it was 1 year of transitioning, of waiting for that next job. And so at one point I fasted for 7 days. And so basically after that fast, God again just opened some doors for me to transition into another job for 2 years. It actually wasn't teaching yet. It was at the Taipei American School for an organization called Taipei Youth Programs Association. And I met an incredible manager. His name is Jerry. And him as my boss, he was just great because he was not only he had authority, but also he was a servant. An example of that was he would actually help me with my job. Like I did the sports part, and so a short example is I would be down cleaning our sports equipment. He wears a tie every day, so he would come down and actually help me sweep the floor. I'm like, okay, I understand what it means to be a leader. It also means being a servant. So I did that for 2 years. And then, God led me step by step from that. Learning that experience actually helped me to get into the teaching position at Morrison Academy. Getting that job actually is I actually knew a lot of people in the school, Morrison Academy, because I was a Christian, they were Christians. A lot of us went to the same churches. And so God allowed me to go to that amazing school, which then not only I could teach there my 3 kids,
可以在那边就学。
Yes, can go to that school.
听起来像很棒、一个很稳定的一个教职跟工作。那为什么神是怎么呼召你现在成为一个全职的传道人呢？
Okay, that part, I think my 25 years in Taiwan, I worked with a lot of young people, either at church or at my school. At the school that I was at, it's, K to 12. And so I really enjoyed doing that. I was a PE teacher, athletic director. I coached sports teams, and I really, really enjoyed that part. But also, when I was there, God also put it in my heart to go on mission trips because our schools would have mission trips. And so, when we go to Taidong or go to other parts of Asia, God was really working in my heart at that point. When I would go on these mission trips, I really felt the presence of God on the mission trips with these young people. And so when I felt that, and I'm like, oh, okay, God, there's something here that you want me to do. And that would happen on all of my mission trips. So on one special mission trip, one of the students said, hey, Mr. Manu, and also my principal was there, his name is Uva. They said, hey, let's start a youth group at our school. Even though we were a Christian school, we didn't have a youth group. And so that started another, service for me and my principal. We started a youth group at our school for 5 years in Taipei. And so every Friday night, after school and after sports, the kids would come. I would open the gym. They would come and play. Then they would go and get dinner. Then they would come back, and then we would have worship. We would have a speaker, and then small groups. And who led the small groups were we would train the students. It's very similar to what I do now with our small groups here in our youth group. Is I would train the students, and then they would lead the small groups. And so by doing that, it was actually getting me ready for my position right now.
对，我想神都一步一步在预备我们哦。可是你辞掉那边很稳定的工作，然后又搬回来美国，感觉是一个很大转变。我不知道，我想请问一下师母，这样子的转变，你心里是什么样的感受？
其实他大概5年前就有这样感动，想要回美国来全职。但是他那时候我完全没有预备好，我也没有这样的看见，所以我那时候其实是跟他发脾气的。我说你疯了吗？我是公务员，我要等着退休。
有这么好的一个稳定的工作。
对，所以呢，我觉得我很感谢神的一点就是说他就觉得意识到时间还不到，他就放下了，然后他就等待，他祷告。所以在3年前他在跟我提到这件事情的时候。我觉得他也很压抑我的反应了。我记得那是在那个台中 Morrison 的那个 parking lot， 他在车子里面问我这件事情。他说：“佩伦，我要跟你讲一件事情，你不会喜欢听，可是我还是要跟你提。”他说：“我还是觉得这个感动要回美国全职侍奉。”那时候我的感觉是有平安，但是我里头有很多的。问题就是说我有很多的 concern， 我很多担忧，
一定的。
那我要辞掉台湾这么久的教职的工作，
对，
我就开始用沟通的方式跟他讲，而不是很激动的在做自我防御。我觉得就从那个5月份，2016年的5月份那一次开始，我觉得神就开始改变我的心，然后就一步一步的看见我跟他回到美国的生活。对，那我觉得还是很有挑战。我觉得他适应得很好，他喜欢台湾文化，他喜欢孩子，然后这里又是他的家。那对我来说，我觉得文化上的不同，对我来说适应得很辛苦。但是我觉得神，我很感恩，就是神给我生命和我有很好的姊妹小组，我有非常好的教会，做我的后盾，我还有祷告的姊妹一起祷告的伙伴，这个帮助我很多很多。再来就是我们在有一些沟通上面或者是问题冲突的时候，我们就一直祷告，我们就一起祷告。我觉得神就会在我们生命中动工， 不管是改变他的心，或是改变我的心，我觉得我们就迎刃而解。就说这是个过程嘛，
没错。
对，但是我觉得有神在我们生命当中真的很好，不然的话，像我们两个差异这么大，我们怎么生活得下去？真的就是神的作为。对，
可是我觉得你们两个都很愿意顺服就是在每一个这个转变当中，就是有神的心意在里面，可是你们都没有因为自己来阻挠这个心意在这个里面。
我觉得我们有一个感动，就是当一方面还没有预备好的时候，说不的时候，就可能不是神的时间。对，所以我就觉得，当你愿意放手给神的时候，神就会自然在对方动工嘛。
没错。
对，所以我自己也很压抑，我自己会这么愿意的跟他回到美国来，因为辞掉了工作，我觉得退休金啊这些东西以前都是我心中觉得理所当然需要的东西，但是现在就没有了。
对。
但是我觉得很感动，就是神在我们生命中动工，他是我们生命的主，那我们都愿意顺服他。
对，
那就让神来修剪我们自己个性的不足。
没错。那我想牧师从开始有这样子的呼召，一直到回到美国到这边教会来服侍，也是神很奇妙的带领哦。对，是怎么样的带领？可以跟我们再分享一下吗？
Okay. Yeah, when my wife said yes, I was quite happy. And so then I just started sending my resumes out. And I didn't know where to go, so I just kept sending them out. And we had a good friend in Taipei, and they said, "Hey, the River of Life Christian Church in Santa Clara, they have a position open." And so I also saw that too, and I thought, I wasn't really sure at first. And so it took me a little while to kind of clue in, like, send your resume there. And so I eventually did. I did also send it to other churches and so forth. And, I've had interviews on the phone, I've had interviews online. And then Pastor Richard sent me an email. It said, "Hey, I'd like to interview you." And so we just set it up during the Chinese New Year of 2017. And I was in Taidong at that moment. And we were talking online. And we had a really good talk. And when that was done, he says, "Okay, we'll contact you again." And so then several months later, I didn't hear anything from him until I think May. From February to May, I didn't hear anything from Pastor Richard. And then I think he contacted me in May, and he says, "Okay, let's meet again. And then we would like you to speak on this particular day because," and I thought, okay, wow, this is great. Everything is happening really quickly. But then I also know in that process, they were looking at my background and everything like that. And I really do think it was definitely God because, being a pastor, being in this position, you have to be called to do that. Or in really, like in a lot of positions, you have to be called to it. And just, I met Pastor Richard, we talked, and then I spoke again on Sunday. And then a month later, I was offered the position. Yeah, so I was quite happy. Yeah.
今天真的很谢谢牧师跟师母这么棒的分享。
Yeah.
也谢谢观众朋友们今天的收看，有朋来访不亦乐乎。我们下期节目再见。
再见。
Bye.
有朋来访不亦乐乎。